All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daily December 2020, the Lost Year. This is the day 4. And I have been inspired. If you if you are unaware, there is a brilliant creator named Ginny D. Ginny is probably most famous, and her kind of thing that rocketed her into notoriety was she started cosplaying Jester, which is Laura Bailey's character from the second campaign of Critical Role. Really well, like her cosplaying skills, which she's been doing for a very long time. Her cosplaying skills are phenomenal. However, the thing that really got a lot of people is she nailed the accent that Laura Bailey uses when she's playing Jester perfectly. Like she is as close to a real life representation of Jester as we will probably ever get, aside from Laura Bailey will one day going full on cosplay of the character. And in addition to cosplaying, she's actually really into D&D, and she's starting to branch off into other RPGs. And she has a YouTube channel where she makes a lot of really interesting content. A lot of it with a D&D skew, simply because of her popularity with Critical Role, she's become very well known in the D&D kind of a fandom in general. And she's a really nice person as well. But recently, like a day or two ago, Ginny made of a video called "Why You Should Build Your D&D character Wrong," and it is a really great video. Not only in the information it provides, but Ginny has a very easy to listen to canter, and her writing and delivery is just very enjoyable to watch in general. So when she is giving out information, it is significantly easier to learn from her than it is from a lot of other people, like, you know, weird dude with a stutter and a deep voice, simply because she's enjoyable to listen to. So I definitely think you should watch that one. There will be a link in the description down below, because this video is kind of a response to that. Not really a response. Like I said, I've been inspired. This was inspired by what Ginny talks about, because she talks about how one of the characters she plays is not optimized in any single way. In fact, she makes a few decisions for the character that would definitely be considered wrong, quote unquote. And again, the thing I do the most on this channel is teach you how to make the quote unquote right decisions in D&D. So for me, one of the most important things when dealing with someone that disagrees with you on in any thing, is understanding why they are doing what it is that they're doing. Understanding why doesn't mean you accept what they're doing is okay or right or even justified. It just lets you understand the point that they're coming from, specifically so that you can go, okay, the reason you're saying these things, or the reason you're doing these things, is an attempt for this. Now, this thing that you're trying to do, you're not succeeding in. However, now that I know this is what you actually want and not the negative things that you're doing towards me, we can talk about this and not focus on the maladaptive coping method you're using, or the sometimes it can go as far as the abusive actions you're taking against me. Because if you just focus on this stuff, which is entirely a result of trying to get this, but not understanding this is what they want, all you're gonna do is create derision and conflict. So this is a video of 5 reasons people will tell you you're playing wrong. Now, I firmly believe in the idea that your fun is wrong is not a valid argument for anything. If you're enjoying yourself and your enjoyment is not hurting anyone else's ability to enjoy themselves, then go ahead, have fun. I am kind of a stickler for rules in general, simply because I personally believe rules inspire creativity for the most part. I am very much against pointless rules that are just there to stifle creativity. But putting limits on something and then coming up with ways to get around those limits to do what you want, I think is a very creative endeavor. So anyway, let's talk about why people will tell you you're playing wrong. Now, I don't believe you're playing wrong. I actually don't believe any of these are valid reasons, or are I don't believe any of these are good reasons to tell someone they're doing something wrong. Like I said, if you're not hurting anybody and you're not just massively ignoring the rules that are in place to help everyone have fun, do what you want. But hopefully, by understanding why these people are doing it, you might have an easier time going, hey, I understand that you feel this way, and it's completely, that's entirely up to you, and you're totally right to feel however you want. But the reason I play this way is because of this, and I understand that maybe this happened to you previously, and that's why you think this way. But what if we tried something a little different? The better you understand the why, the easier time you're going to have being able to actually make a connection instead of just a conflict. All right. So let's start with number 1. The first reason people will tell you you're playing wrong is because they made the same choice or a similar choice when they started and were told it was wrong. This is unbelievably common. And it was really, really common in earlier editions of D&D, like 3rd edition especially, and in Pathfinder, this still happens to today. And I'll tell my Pathfinder story a little later in this video. But basically what happens is someone gets into D&D, they don't really know what they're doing, and they just make choices. And no one helps them make their first choices. A lot of times in this situation, they'll read the book or just decide this is what they want to do. And when they get to the table and actually start doing things, someone at the table, sometimes the entire table, turned to them and said, "Oh, you did that wrong." No, it's not against the rules or anything. No, you're wrong. There's a lot of different reasons other people might have told them they were wrong. We will go through 4 other reasons that might be happening, but that is a very, very defining moment for a new role player. If their first experience with the game is being told that they're doing it wrong, then that's going to color everything they do from then on. The original person that told them that they were wrong might have been doing it from a place of love, from a place of compassion, but that still sticks in their mind that, okay, this was the wrong choice. I have done something wrong, and I'm now not a good player. I am a bad player, and I need to be a good player. And so when that is your first experience or one of your first experiences, you get the mindset that uh, that is normal. So much of any kind of group activity um, is based on unwritten rules instead of written ones. This is how you do it. Um, and if they were brought up in the D&D world or in the RPG world as when you see someone making a choice that is wrong, you are supposed to correct them, then that's what they're going to do to you when they think that you are being wrong. Um, the biggest issue with this particular motivation is it is exceedingly difficult to change that conversation from you're doing something wrong into, well, you're doing something different, because from their formative years in this hobby, they've been told this is how it works. It would kind of be like someone sitting down at a D&D table, and the first time they play, they are told that, well, wait a minute, why did you choose a class? No. You don't choose classes in this game. In this one, you just pick features that you like and you build your character around it. That's not how D&D works. And for a person that their first interaction, I guess I did that a little wrong. If they've grown up, but basically being told this is how it works, and then somebody goes, oh no. Why are you picking a class? You don't have to. They're going to have an extremely difficult time going, well, no, that's not how I've been taught this works. Of all the different reasons someone might tell you that you're playing quote unquote wrong, having grown up being taught and told that the norm is when you see someone making a wrong choice, you could correct them, is the most difficult to kind of have a constructive conversation about, because you are having to make them rethink the entire idea around the hobby that they play. I'm not saying it's impossible to have a conversation with someone that's just what they've been taught, and to be perfectly honest, it's going to be extremely hard for you to even figure out that this is why they're doing it, because that is something that's so ingrained in the subconscious, they're not going to know that's why it is. But again, if you to talk to them and figure out what it is that they're trying to say, you might be able to come to the fact it's like, no, listen, this is just, it's a bad choice. You're not supposed to make it. Okay. Why is it a bad choice? Well, because of this. Who told you this was a bad choice? Well, it eventually, I made a choice. So, again, this isn't it doesn't always have to be a negative of interaction. Someone could genuinely be trying to help you. They just don't understand that what they're doing is not helpful. So, number 2. They have put a lot of work or effort into learning the system in a specific way and get upset when other people don't, quote, pay their dues, end quote, like they were forced to. This is so unbelievably common. And this is not a D&D or an RPG only thing. Gatekeepers in general, this is one of their biggest motivators in why they are quote unquote gatekeeping. And you see this in almost every industry in the world. The fact that the phrase paying your dues is so widely accepted in the world just shows how pervasive this particular mindset is. In fifth edition, it's not quite as common with people that just play fifth edition, but anyone that came from third edition or Pathfinder, this is a primary motivator for them. A lot of the times, simply because those two games are extremely complex number crunching kind of games. And because that, they have an incredibly high barrier to entry. Before you can even start playing, there's so much you have to learn about how the game works, and the core rulebooks themselves are massive. Absolutely ginormous books with lots of text. And so the way that this kind of works is someone decides that they want to do something. And generally what will happen is they will get put into a situation before they are ready, and will be insulted and made a public example of because of their lack of understanding. This particular motivation breeds the same motivation over and over and over again. Because what will happen is they'll sit down at a table to try and do something like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Why didn't you take this feat?" Well, what are you talking? Well, see, if you'd taken this feat at level 1, then at level 2 you could have taken this feat, and then at level 4 you could have taken this feat, which would make it so you could actually do something. Right now, what feat did you take? Oh, well, I took this. Oh my God, that is such a waste of time. Nobody uses that feat. Oh my God, I cannot believe you even did that. Oh my, just go away. You know what? Take the time, read the actual book, man. Because, wow, you don't know a single thing. I have seen conversations. I've been privy to conversations like this. They are incredibly common. I mentioned a Pathfinder story. If you're familiar with the organized play system for 5th edition, it's called the D&D Adventurers League. Pathfinder has their own version of this that has been around a lot longer than the Adventurers League. It's been around since Pathfinder first started in the D&D 3.5 days. But it's called the Pathfinder Society. And I've mentioned I'm not a huge fan of the Adventurers League because of how many just arbitrary rules they have that stifle creativity for no real reason. Pathfinder Society is that to an extreme. Things like in the Adventures League, if you play an adventure with a character, you cannot play that adventure again with the same character. However, if you run the adventure and then play it with a character, or if you build a different character, you can play adventures over and over again. In Pathfinder Society, you can't. Anytime you play an adventure, you can never play that adventure ever again. If you DM an adventure, or I guess it's GMing in Pathfinder, you are never allowed to play that adventure in Pathfinder Society with any character. And the idea behind this is they don't want spoilers. Basically, they don't want people going around to different tables just to get the items that they want, or the things like that. They want every adventure to be a surprise for players. Again, I don't agree with that, but that's how it is. And that's just one of the many rules for Pathfinder Society. So way back when I was a local coordinator for the Adventures League, Pathfinder Society was still massively bigger than Adventurers League. And every one of the local game stores that I was supposed to meet with had a Pathfinder Society in it. And one of the ones, the sister store of my home store, had a really standoffish Pathfinder Society group, to the point where they would play in this store every night on Pathfinder night, and someone would come into the store And in one specific example that I was told by the manager, because he and I were pretty good friends, because I brought a lot of business into his store. This guy came in and he's like, "Whoa, what you guys doing?" And the Pathfinder guy, "Excuse me, we're trying to play a game here." And he's like, "Oh, cool. What game is it?" "This is Pathfinder. Have you ever played it?" "No, but is it like D&D?" "No, it is immensely better than D&D." "Okay. Huh. Well, cool. Could I try it out? I've always wanted, I'd love to learn." "Listen, you've never played it before? This is a very advanced game. You need to leave us alone right now because you could be ruining this entire session." And they told this brand new player off, and the guy walked out of the store. Now, these people were no way affiliated with this store. They simply used the store as a place to play their game. They didn't even pay for it to the table. This particular store didn't charge for a table. They just let people play as long as there were tables available. The manager got up, went over to them and said, "Hey, listen, you guys need to leave now." Like, "Well, what are you talking about?" "You just scared away a customer. This is how I pay for the tables and to keep the lights on in this place. You just lost me what might have been a customer for years. So, no, you need to leave. You can come back next week, but if I ever see you guys do something like that again to one of my customers, Pathfinder Society is never playing in this store again." And they got very, very upset. They insulted him, and they left. And in Wisconsin, where I live, because this is the birthplace of D&D, and we have a very, very active RPG community here, that's not the only time I have heard specifically of the Pathfinder Society players being absolutely brutal to new players. I have actually sat at tables where I have been insulted for my lack of quote-unquote understanding of Pathfinder, despite the fact that I understand the game fairly well. I don't know absolutely everything, because I haven't read all the books, but I know D&D 3.5 really, really well, and that's all Pathfinder is, with some minor cosmetic changes and a few rules tweaks to make it more competitive. So going back into this to the topic, that is the culture in a lot of the more crunchy RPGs, and a lot of very difficult or complicated hobbies in general. People take a lot of pride in the fact that they worked really, really hard to do something, and if they see someone come in who hasn't put the same amount of work that they were forced to put in before they were allowed to even start playing, they will get upset, because to them it feels like a personal slight. They got derided, like they had to work so hard to not be ostracized from the game. Then this other person who hasn't done a damn thing, they just walk up like they deserve to be there. They haven't earned their place in that space. Just walks in and thinks that they're allowed to do whatever they want without paying their dues. That's insulting. It means all the work that they have put in, all the time and effort, all the abuse and insults and negative emotions that they had to deal with while they paid their dues, was a complete waste of time. And when you continue along that pathway, that starts turning into a personal thing. It's like, wow, I was so stupid. I didn't realize I had to. I didn't have to beat myself up and abuse myself in order to enjoy the thing that I like, or to get into this field that I love. Wow, that must mean I'm a stupid person. Wow, and when it gets reinforced with the fact that you've already been taught that people that aren't doing it right should be abused, so that they have to put in the time and effort and pay their dues, it turns into this really, really vicious cycle of self-hate and loathing. And so the easiest way to get yourself out of that cycle of self-hate and loathing is to shift it to someone else. Again, I'm not saying this justifies the abuse or anything like that. I think it's an incredibly bad thing. But if you understand that the reason they're upset with you has nothing to do with the fact that you want to play or the choices that you've made, and has everything to do with the fact that they are upset that they had to work significantly harder than you did to be able to do the exact same thing, you can get the conversation to shift. A lot of times, simply acknowledging the massive amount of work and struggle someone has had to get something is enough to at least open the lines of communication. I'm not saying that this is going to fix all your problems, but simply doing stuff like, well, I'm brand new. Ha! I've been playing for 4 years. I've been in 3 weekly games every week, and I have read all the books cover to cover 4 times. If your response is, cool, well, I haven't, so I'm going to play, they're going to be really upset with you, because they're going to go, no. What I told you is really impressive and is how I prove I've earned my right to be here. Now it's your turn to prove that you've earned your right to be here. And if you haven't earned your right, I have to get rid of you because you haven't earned the right to be here. But if your response is, wow, that's really, wow, congrats, it's really impressive, and you can't do this ironically or anything. You have to genuinely say, that's really impressive. To be perfectly honest, I really wanted to try this game, but I just don't have the time to do all that. Would you be willing to, like, I mean, obviously you've learned a lot. Would you be willing to help me just to learn some of the basics? Again, I understand I haven't quite learned as much as you guys, and I'm sorry about that, but I really would like to learn. I think learning from people that have as much experience as you have would be a good thing. So, again, this is kind of admitting that you've accepted that your fun is wrong, but it will help you to open up a dialogue, and then you can start actually asking questions like, well, so why can't I make this decision? Well, you just don't do it. That's the wrong way to play. Is it against the rules? Well, no, but you don't do that. It's the wrong way to play. Okay. You know what? I'm a huge believer in the idea that you learn a lot more from failure than you do from mistakes. Would you guys mind if I just tried this? Because I'm having a really hard time understanding this, and I want to. I want to be as good as you guys are. Would you mind if I just try this again? If it gets to the point where I'm hurting the party, I'll just drop out. But up until that point, can we just try this and maybe I'll be able to learn a little bit better that way. In a situation where you're dealing with this mindset, that is the absolute best way, not only to get to the point that you can play the character that you want, but it also might actually change other people's minds and help them to kind of deal with the fact that, yes, they did go through a lot of really difficult stuff to get to where they are, but just because someone doesn't do that doesn't belittle the amount of work that they've put into it. So, number 3. They're worried your choices will impact their own choices, making it harder for them to play the way they want to. This is a little bit more of a self-motivated motivation, but it's a really common one. If someone is sitting down to play an RPG, a lot of times, especially for people like me, I roll like Will Wheaton. To the point, this is an absolute true story. I used to run games at a couple different friendly local game stores back before I was diagnosed with agoraphobia and couldn't leave my house anymore. And at one of the places I was at, I had a friend that I had met like years before at my old game store, and he had moved away for work, and he came back in for a weekend, and he stopped by this as a store, and it was really nice. And so he sat down. And we were playing for fifth edition. And as he was sitting there and he was playing with us, he goes, "Wow, everybody uses spells and abilities that force you to make or force the monsters to make saving throws." And I hadn't realized it at that point, but my entire table had shifted to using abilities and spells and the things like that all relied on saving throws, because I always rolled worse than the players. So the players didn't have to worry about making bad rolls. They could just have me constantly make bad rolls. And my friend kind of pointed this out, and I kind of went, "Wait a minute. Are you guys doing that?" And the entire table just got really quiet and kind of looked at their belts and went, and one of them went, "Kinda." I'm like, "Oh my god." So the reason I mentioned that is I play RPGs to role play. I don't do it for the mechanics, despite the fact that you guys have seen I'm really, really good at understanding mechanics and things like that. I generally don't play for the mechanics, because all the mechanics will still rely on my dice rolls, and my dice rolls suck. So even if I understand absolutely everything in the game, I'm still gonna fail a lot more than most people, because I roll really bad. I am cursed. It's the reason why in most games I play, I will describe every aspect of my attacks and things like that, and I'll jump off walls and that, specifically so I can go, that would totally give me an advantage on the attack, right, DM? Because that's the only way I ever hit. So I understand the idea of going in and wanting to play a really unique character. I actually built a character for the Adventures League, because that was mostly what I was playing at the time. He was a Vengeance Paladin. He was a dual-wielding Vengeance Paladin. And I went hardcore into this character. I created this really cool backstory. He was he used to be a pirate. His ship got sunk, and he was floating overnight in water alone. And he felt that Selene, the Faerunian goddess of the moon, had saved him, and so he devoted his life to serving Selene. But because he was already a very aggressive, kind of action-oriented person, he decided the best way to serve Selene was as her hand of vengeance. I would go forward into the world, and I would attack and kill things that actively went against the teachings of Selene, specifically disciples of Shar, who's Selene's to the twin, and they don't like each other, and denizens of the Underdark, because Shar ruled she was the patron deity of the Underdark. So I created this character. I even created an oath of vengeance that rhymed and everything, and I had the verbal components for the spell Hunter's Mark, because Vengeance Paladins get that. I had a specific spell, a specific phrase I would use to mark people. Like, I went hardcore into this really interesting Vengeance Paladin. And we were playing in a Ravenloft campaign, which is already really made for those kind of goth, edgy characters, and that's the kind of character I wanted to play. However, when we started playing, I was the only character that had an armor class higher than 16. I was wearing heavy armor, but because of that, I couldn't play the kind of damage dealing badass character that I wanted to. I had to play the tank and the healer, because you didn't really have a healer anyway. So I was constantly going around using lay on hands to keep the party alive, and then to taking a bunch of hits. I think for the first like 4 or 5 sessions I played with this character, I was unconscious every session. For most of combat, because the enemies would all focus on me, because I was a big fancy paladin with a pair of long swords, and it wasn't fun, and it had nothing to do with my choices. It was entirely because the rest of the party had made choices that directly affected my character. And I see this as a really, really common reason for people saying, "Hey, you're doing this wrong," because in their mind, they'll go, "You know what? I've built this character like this, and it'll excel at these places, and it will need other party members to help with this, and this." That's how D&D works. And when they see someone come in and they're not useful to the party in the way that this person thinks they should, in a way that will help them be able to play their character, their first thought is, crap, I don't want to be the face. Like, I didn't want to be the face of the party, but paladins use charisma as their casting skill. So I was a strength and charisma based character. We didn't have another face, so I became the negotiator. I didn't want to be. I wanted to be the brooding dude in the background that every so often would pull a sword out and point it at people and intimidate them, and that was it. But if you go around intimidating everyone, especially in Barovia, you're going to fail all the time, and I didn't want to do that. But because of the choices other players made, I was kind of forced into that role. Now, how do you deal with this? Because that is a valid concern for people. I want to play this way, and if you play this way, if you use the choices that you had, I'm going to have to save your ass because having an extra player that's not pulling their weight could drag the whole party down, and then I don't get to play. It is a valid concern. The way you open up this conversation is they go, "Oh, you made that choice wrong." Well, what do you mean? It's not against the rules. Yeah, but the party really needs this. We really need a face, and you need to be a high charisma character, especially since you're a bard. And that's just what you're supposed to do. So just do that. The only way you're going to get around this is going, well, in a situation where we need to convince people, what if instead of us, persuading people, what if I just steal the pants off them? What? Well, yeah, it can be really, really useful to be able to persuade or to intimidate people. But what if I was able to just make people really happy with me because they would lose the things, and then I would find them for them and give it back free of charge, just because of how nice a person I am? I mean, that would probably make a lot of people. It'd be a more effective way of convincing people than persuading them or using magic to trick them. And I've got a really high sleight of hand. Like, with my expertise, my sleight of hand is like plus 12. So I'm pretty sure I could do that. And that's really the only way you're going to be able to play the kind of or the only way you're going to be able to open up a line of communication, because this idea is based on or this motivation is based on the idea that D&D has a very specific way it has to be played, and that's not true. It's one of the things that I argue with people all the time, especially ones that will say things like, "Well, D&D isn't a game that's meant for RPing because it doesn't emphasize RPing enough in the text," which it does, and I have done rants on the idea that there's tons of sections on how to role play in D&D and how to make role play heavy campaigns, but that's another idea entirely. But they've kind of learned, either than through being taught that's how it was, or just from experience, that there are set solutions to every puzzle, and if you don't have the right skill for that solution, you're never going to get out of that puzzle. That there is a distinct way that you have to do it. If you find a spike trap, you have to use thieves tools, and you have to be proficient in thieves tools, and you have to have a high dexterity score, or you have to get hit by the trap. Those are the only two options. However, as soon as you go, I've got this really, really big shield I could carry with me all the time. And we know where the spikes are going to come from, right? Like, we can see it. What if I just put my shield in front of the holes and we step on it? Well, you might lose your shield. Yeah, but nobody will get hurt, right? And that's just 2 AC. I've got a two-handed weapon. Like, it won't bother me that much. Well, now you've discovered that D&D is not about, well, I don't have a DC for putting your shield in front of there. No, D&D is designed to be creative. If you want to play a suboptimal character, you need to be creative, to be honest. And if you're dealing with people that their biggest fear is like they're not going to have fun playing, because in order to keep the campaign going, they're going to have to make up for your shortcomings. Just go, no, they're not shortcomings. They allow me to play a different way and give me different choices. So I can still be useful in the party. I'm just not going to be useful in doing the things that are listed in the pre-written adventure as how you're supposed to do this. Number 4. They've only played with an antagonist-style DM that attempts to challenge/kill the party, and 1 weak link can be the end of the party. Again, I'm going to bring up Pathfinder Society because this is unbelievably common. And Pathfinder Society is actually built to encourage this type of DMing, or at least it was at one point. Again, I'm not super familiar with PFS because I've never played in it. But back when I used to help run a convention, I was really good friends because I oversaw all the organized play RPGs. So I oversaw the Adventure League stuff. I oversaw the Pathfinder Society stuff. Shadowrun missions. I oversaw, like, all of those people had to report to me, and I directly did everything for the Adventure League stuff myself. One of the ways you get rewarded as a DM, at least this is what I've told. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But at one point, you actually got rewarded for killing player characters because it meant you were challenging the characters. And so a lot of PFS DMs are extremely antagonistic, and their goal in the adventure is to kill off the party because that's how they get the most rewards and the things like that. As it got closer to a big convention, DMs would shift and start doing being easier on players because other DMs would come in to level up their characters for the convention so that they could play in the convention and do the things that they wanted. But other than that, like, Pathfinder DMs, or I think they're GMs and Pathfinders, were ruthless. And because of that, if you walked into a Pathfinder Society game with a suboptimal character, they would kick you off the table. Because that suboptimal character, every additional character, allows the GM to add more monsters and make things more and more difficult. So if you have a character that's just dead weight, you are making a difficult game harder. And it's some people thrive under that. There are a lot of people that really enjoy the idea that the DM is the enemy. I'm not one of them. I don't enjoy a game like that, but I know a lot of people that do, and I don't think they're bad people for that. It's just a different way to have fun. However, if they come into 5th edition with that mindset, they're going to come. They're going to have issues. Mostly because 5th edition is not nearly as rules heavy and crunchy, and it's remarkably more difficult to make a broken character. Optimizing characters still, requires a lot of work. But making a character that simply doesn't work, like you could have in 3rd edition or Pathfinder, where if you don't spend your skills on the right point, by about level 4 or 5, you literally will not be able to make any skill checks at all. You won't be able to hit any of the monsters. You won't. Your defense scores will not be high enough to prevent getting it attacked. Your character will literally just be dead weight if you don't spend your points in the right way, if you don't take the right feats. It's very easy to make a useless character in the 3rd edition. It's remarkably difficult to make a completely useless character in the 5th edition. You have to actually know the system really well to make a pointless character. Making less useful characters, not difficult at all. That's why I have DMD did deep dives. But when you bring that idea into 5th edition, where if one bad character is going to force you to roll into a new character, it's not really going to work. Published adventures for 5th edition are not written in a way to kill the party members. They are all written in a way that you can beat every single pre-written adventure, unless you make really bad decisions. So that kind of mentality doesn't really fit in 5th edition. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Again, a lot of people that play 5th edition were playing 3rd edition, where that was a real thing. And we have transplants from Pathfinder, where that is not only a real thing, it's encouraged in their organized play system. The best way to deal with people that are like this is to bring the DM into the conversation. And again, this is not to antagonize or chastise people for having these thought processes. This is a tool to help you open up a line of communication to get past them. Not to tell them that they're wrong, but to understand why they're doing what they are, so that you can both have fun. And again, this is entirely rooted in some bad practices in earlier systems, and it's entirely solved by talking to the DM. Hey, can we talk? Like, I want to play this character, and I mean, we're both kind of worried here that if I play a suboptimal character, that you're just going to use it to kill the party, and we don't want that. 99% of D&D DMs, and even the really antagonistic game systems, I would say a vast majority of the DMs are more than willing to sit down and go, no, I'm here to challenge you, not to punish you for character creation choices. I may punish you for bad decisions to kind of reinforce the fact that the decision you made was not a good one, but I'm not going to punish you for character creation choices, because that's not my point here. My point here is to create a game where everyone can have fun. And that really, someone that's grown up with entirely antagonistic DMs won't believe them. Because in their mind, they'll go, well, yeah, it's fun for you to kill us off. So you're going to be worrying about your fun, and I have to worry about my fun. But that's really the only way to kind of deal with this situation without kind of capitulating to them and saying, okay, I'll play a more optimized character this time, but next time you have to let me play something a little different. Those are really the only two options when you have that issue. Number 5. They enjoy telling people how to do something, either from a need for control or a genuine enthusiasm for teaching others. I am a trainer. I enjoy teaching other people things. It's really fun for me. Because of my particular experience, not only am I very, very good at breaking things down into ways that people can understand them, I am incredibly good at being able to see things from other people's viewpoints. It was a skill I developed back when I was acting, and it has been invaluable in the training space. So when I see someone struggling, my first thought is always, hey, I can help you with that, because I enjoy helping people, and I enjoy helping people to do the things that they will want to do. one of the things I had to learn pretty early on in my training career is offering unsolicited advice never, 100% never has the intended result. It simply doesn't. Even if the end result is they take your advice, there's so much more that happens in their mind and their opinion of you before they get to that point where they go, oh, it's good advice. That you have permanently changed your relationship with this person by giving them unsolicited advice. The thing I had to learn was to go up to people that I see that I think are struggling and go, hey, can I help you at all? I don't want to, you tell you're doing anything wrong or anything like that, but I've tried to do something similar, and I've learned a few things to make it easier. If you would like, if you don't, that's perfectly fine. That is putting the ball in their court again. A lot of times, much more than the majority of the times, they will at least allow you to say what you want to say. They may not always listen to it, but they will at least be open to. They may not always take the advice, but they'll at least be open to listening to it. And it's a really effective way to train people that weren't expecting to be trained. So in this particular instance, there's actually two different motivations that lead to the same basic action. Is either they really do enjoy teasing people, or and this is actually an extremely common motivator for abusive actions in general, is that person feels a lack of control in some aspect of their life. And so in order to get the feeling of control that we all love to have, that makes us feel safe, they will to try to control other people. And one of the simplest ways to do that with the least amount of effort extended on your part is through abusive tactics. Now, if you're actually trying to control an individual's actions, abuse is a remarkably ineffective way to do it in the long term. Abuse only works in the very short term, and it always has unintended consequences that make any subsequent attempts less effective. Abuse is just not a good motivational tactic ever. It's not effective. However, it's very, very easy. And on the idea of instant gratification, you get that feedback immediately. Unlike most other forms of manipulation and control, where you're attempting to actually use healthy ways to change people's habits, and that takes significantly longer. And a lot of times you never get that dopamine hit of it actually worked for months, if not years or decades, sometimes later. And this is where most people think your fun is wrong comes from. The other four motivations I talked about, nobody ever considers that, because they always default into, oh, this person is abusive, and they're a bad person, and therefore, excuse me for just a second. I've been talking for almost an hour, and I have no spit left in my entire body. The default understanding, and Ginny in her video, I don't think explicitly goes into saying this is why people do that. She doesn't really talk about the why, but it is implied an awful lot when we're discussing this, if not outright saying, yeah, gatekeepers are bullies. Well, they can be. I'm not saying this isn't an extremely common thing for gatekeepers and other kind of abusive personalities to take. But I'll give you a revelation here. Abusing an abuser doesn't stop them from abusing. What it does is it actually reinforces the mindset that abuse is a valid way to deal with their lack of control, because someone else got the result that they wanted using their same techniques. The idea of fighting fire with fire when it comes to abuse is really, really bad, because all it does is create more abusers. Because what you've done right there is you have taken control away from them, which is why they started abusing at first, because they felt a lack of control. So all you've done is convince them that they have even more or even less control than they originally thought. So now they have to abuse even more people to feel like they're in control. Abusing an abuser does not work. So how do you deal with someone, either someone that's doing it for a positive reason or a negative reason? They're attempting to control your actions. It's really, really hard to be 100% blunt. But the main thing you have to focus on is the why is more important than the what. The abuse they're giving you is not important. This sounds really dismissive. This almost sounds victim blaming-ish, and it's not. The idea behind it is the abuse that you're suffering is real. The negative emotions that you feel and the hurt and the pain is real, and you are 100% valid for feeling that way. And you should feel completely justified in protecting yourself in whatever way possible. I don't want to say that people are being abused have some sort of duty to help their abuser. They don't. However, if your goal is to fix the situation and it is not entirely self-defense, where you really need to focus on yourself, which again is completely valid and understandable and okay, then you can't focus on your own hurt if the solution is to fix the problem and not to just stop that specific person from abusing you personally. If you want to stop the abuse in general, the way that you do that is through communication and from understanding that all the horrible things they're saying to you, all the horrible things that they're doing to you, has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So someone is insulting you. Something I got when I was a kid a lot was I was overweight for most of my life. I was not. I would not consider myself fat, but I had no jawline. I had these kind of big puffy cheeks, and I was overweight for my age. But I was also after about 7th grade onward, I was also really tall for my age. So that contributed to me being quote unquote overweight. But I wasn't in good shape in general. And I used to get called fat all the time. I had one bully in 8th grade. We were playing basketball. I am not a sporty person. I've never been good at sports ever. But for one strange, inexplicable reason, in this game, I was doing pretty well. Like, I'm not a basketball player. I don't even enjoy basketball, to be honest. But I was shooting properly. Like, I had learned to do the shot. And I was making most of my shots. Now, I wasn't taking... I didn't take a single 3-point shot. Like every shot I took was well within the 3-point line, but I was making most of them, and because of that, my team was actually winning. And this bully I had was getting really upset because, first of all, he was on the basketball team and he knew how to play basketball. I didn't. I was just a little bit bigger than him, so he had a hard time stealing the ball from me, and I was taking really easy shots. And he kept taking 3-pointers, and he kept trying to do trick shots and stuff because he was a basketball player playing against a bunch of people who couldn't play, to be blunt. And he was having a bad day. And so whenever I would do it, he would start trash talking me. And it wasn't just, trash talking. He's like, hey, fatty. Hey, fatty, you're too fat to fucking dribble the ball. Fat fucker. Get the fucking fat out of my and he over and over and over. And I just and for whatever reason, I just didn't let it bother me. Probably because I was winning. And so he was like, "Hey, fatty, maybe you should just go eat something, you fat fuck." And I would go, "Okay." Oh, I think I just ate a swish. And he got so upset, he started slapping me during the game, which I react very, very poorly to physical assault. My brain kind of switches off my pain receptors. Very, very dangerous thing, but by the way, I stop feeling pain when I get truly angry, and the quickest way to do that is for you to cause me physical pain. And because of that, because my brain kind of switched off and I went into survival mode and fight or flight, I started playing a little bit worse because I was no longer able to really function. I was laser focused on this person has attacked me. I need to defend myself. And so it kind of worked. But up until the point where the switch was flipped, I was actually doing exactly what I wanted to because I wasn't worrying about what he was just saying to me. I knew I was fat. I wasn't nearly as fat as I thought I was, but I knew I was overweight. And I just went, you know what? He's mad that I'm winning. That's why he's saying these things. He couldn't care less that I'm fat. It doesn't affect him at all that I'm fat. He's mad that I'm winning. So if I just accept that instead every time he calls me fat, I actually in my mind translate to that I hate your winning, it doesn't make it hurt as much. And so when you do get into a situation where someone is being belligerent against you, they're telling you your fun is wrong, they may be getting actually abusive because you're not playing the way that they want you to play because they're a very controlling person for any reason. When you stop focusing on, oh my God, this person is saying these horrible things, and you translate what they're saying into, I'm scared because I don't have control over my own life, and I don't like that. It makes it significantly easier to deal with. And you can start up the conversation. Hey, this is the way I like to play. Why is it that you care so much about how I'm playing? Well, you're doing it wrong, and you're ruining the game for everyone else. Well, I'm not trying to ruin the game for anyone else, and it seems like other people were having fun until you started telling them how to play. Is there something I'm doing that's making it so you can't have fun? Well, it's just your decisions are making it so that this, and this. Okay, I understand that, and I don't want to stop you from having fun. But I really think there are better ways to have fun than this. Hey, are you okay? Like, not insulting or anything. You seem really upset. And is there something I can do to help? And again, I like to play my character this way, but this is really important to you, and I don't want you to think that I don't care about what's important to you, because I do, and I want you to have fun as well. I'd like to have fun too. So is there something we can do together so that we can both have fun? And if there is anything in this particular game that can help, is there something I can help you with somewhere else? Because this is really important to you. And something that's this important to someone else, I think should be important to other people. And I just I'd like to help you if I can. If there's something I can do that could help you, I'd like to do that. So what can I do to help you? Maybe not entirely with the game, but what can I do to help you? bullies and abusers aren't spoken to like that. They're spoken to in one of two ways. They're spoken to as a victim, or they're spoken to from their victim's point of view, or it's someone defending themselves against the abuse that they're slinging out. Which, anytime you are put in this situation where the other person is the victim and you are the aggressor, is not a good experience. It doesn't feel good. And so they will view communication from their victim as an attack on them, because in order for them to be the victim, the abuser has to be the victimizer. And that will just reinforce their abusive behavior, because in their mind, that person is attacking them by calling them an abuser. The other way bullies are to talk to is as the victim itself. They are abused by someone else. It's how they learn this behavior can be used to control people. So when your only two interactions you can have with another human being are to either be the victimizer or be the victim, a lot of times you're going to choose the victimizer, the abuser, because if you're the victim too long, you eventually stop playing all together. And that's a very horrible, dangerous situation to be in. I've been there before. It changes your life. However, as soon as you start having conversations with people where you are neither the victimizer nor the victim of the abuse, but you're a human being that could use help, that is so different. A lot of abusers have no idea how to deal with that, because they've never been treated as someone that needs help. They've either been treated as someone who doesn't deserve help, the victim, or someone that is causing someone else to call out for help. They've never been the one that is actually asked, hey, do you need help? Is there something I can do for you? Now, there's a lot of different ways to react to that. This is not a foolproof method. If you do that, they may take it really, really negatively and either start abusing you even more, or drop out of the game completely, because they're not ready to deal with that part of their life. And that has nothing to do with you as well. If you reach out and somebody says, no, I don't want your help, forcing your help on them is a bit abusive. And you've just gone from the helper to the victimizer. And you don't want to do that. However, that is the only way things change, is you have to change the setting of the interaction. If they are always the abuser or the victim, they will always be in that mindset. When those are the only two roles that they will ever be allowed to have, anytime they can avoid being the victim, they're going to be the abuser, because they think that's the only two choice they have. And when someone is trying to control you simply because they have a lack of control in their life, that is a form of abuse. Controlling other people's actions is a form of abuse. I would call it a mild form of abuse when you compare it to other more serious ones that can leave permanent physical damage, mental damage. But it is in no way a light thing that people can just laugh off. It's a real issue. If you want to deal with a player that's telling you that your fun is wrong because they desperately need to control other people because they can't control an aspect of their own life, either walk away from the situation, find a table that fits your skills better and play the way you want, or you need to confront the problem, not the person, because the person's not going to react. You're going to turn them into a victim, which they've been before, and they've learned that the only way to keep from being a victim is to be an abuser. But if you reach out and you say, hey, this is really important to you, and I can understand that, can I ask why it's so important? Because I want to help if I can. And if they just increase the abuse to a point that you can't handle it, go back into focusing on yourself. You should always be caring about yourself. But go back to focusing on yourself. Say, listen, if you're going to be abusive like this, I'm not going to deal with it. And you turn to the DM and say, hey, either he goes or I goes. This isn't okay. If it's the DM doing it, you turn to the other players and go, hey, this is how you're going to treat us. I'm leaving, and I encourage anyone else here, if you don't want to be, attacked like this, to leave as well. It's not a great solution in the idea that it doesn't resolve the issue, or it doesn't fix anything. It simply pushes the issue off to someone else. But if they're not willing to do the work required to fix it, you can't do anything. One of my favorite jokes in the world is how many therapists does it take to change a light bulb? You're asking the wrong question. What you should be asking is, does the light bulb want to change? That's 100% true. You cannot change anyone. Only you can change you, and only they can change the they. But if you want to deal with this particular issue, you need to stop focusing on the abusive techniques and look at the core of where it's coming from. If they are someone that genuinely likes to teach people a simple, hey, you know what? I really enjoy learning on my own. So I appreciate the help, but I didn't really ask for it. So if at all possible, can I just learn this on my own and make mistakes and have fun that way? If their whole point is they enjoy teaching people, they will step back and go, you know what? Totally fine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And if they are someone that just needs control, again, it's going to end in one of two ways. Either you're going to be able to talk to them as an actual human being, and that will start them thinking of different ways to interact with people, or there's going to be a confrontation, and someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. It's not a great way to resolve it, but this is a really, really complicated thing, which is why I have spent over an hour talking about all these different things. And I specifically chose to use this one last, but because everyone thinks anyone that tells you your fun is wrong is this last motivation, that they're a bully, that they're an abuser. And that's not true. I've given you 4 other reasons why somebody might tell you that your fun is wrong that has nothing to do with abuse. And there are a lot more. This is only 5. Remember, there's a lot more reasons people might do this. So if someone is telling you your fun is wrong, first of all, they are wrong. How you play the game, again, as long as you're not hurting another person's ability to have fun as well, and as long as you're not just completely discarding the rules, just because you can, because at that point you're not really playing the Giga game. You've made up your own game, which is perfectly fine. Play your own Giga game, but don't get mad at people that want to play the game that was designed. As long as those two things aren't happening, play the way you want. There isn't a wrong way to play D&D. There isn't a wrong way to play RPGs. There are certain ways that are easier to play. That's what my D&D deep dive is built around. But you can play whatever way you want. And 5th edition is the most difficult version of D&D to make a worthless character in. They've designed it really well so that almost any choice can be valid. There are certain choices that are more effective that will make doing certain things easier than others. It doesn't mean they're wrong choices. It means there are optimized choices, and being an optimal player is not always the goal. Anyway, sorry this is super long, but Ginny really inspired me with her video. Ginny, if you're watching this, why are you wasting over an hour of your day watching this? You have important things to do. You have a life. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. For everyone else, thanks for watching. Like I said, D&D December is about trying new things, and maybe the new thing you're going to try this time is, if you find a your fun is wrong kind of person, instead of just fighting them where one of you wins and one of you loses, you'll think about this video and go, is there a way I can figure out why they're saying this, and hopefully turn this from a confrontation into a relationship. All right? That's all for me today. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.